Word problems on Cartesian coordinate plane. By the end of the lesson, you will be able to solve problems involving distance between 2 points and midpoint of a line segment on the Cartesian coordinate plane. Martha is doing her geometry assignment. They were asked to draw a rectangle with vertices A, B, C, and D, as shown in the graph. Remember, class, that when dealing with word problems, it is important that we understand the situation. So here in situation 1, we have Martha, who is doing her assignment in geometry. And then the unfamiliar word right here is the word vertices, which is the plural of the word vertex. So what are vertices in geometry? In geometry, vertices are the corners where 2 or more edges meet. So in Martha's assignment, the shape is of rectangle. We know that rectangles has 4 corners. So this corner is vertex A or point A. This corner is vertex B or point B. This corner is vertex C or point C. This corner is vertex D or point D. Question 1. On what quadrant can you find point C? So this point on what quadrant? If you can recall, there are 4 quadrants on a Cartesian coordinate plane. Quadrant 1, quadrant 2, 3, and quadrant 4. Quadrant 1 lies on the positive side of the Cartesian coordinate plane horizontally, and the positive side also of the Cartesian coordinate plane vertically. Quadrant 2 lies on the negative side horizontally and on the positive side vertically. Quadrant 3 is at negative side horizontally, negative side vertically. Quadrant 4 is at positive side horizontally and negative side vertically. So in what quadrant can you find point C? So what point C is on quadrant 1. It is found in quadrant 1. Question 2. What are the coordinates of point A? What are the coordinates of point A? Coordinates are the ordered pair, indicating the location of the specific point horizontally and vertically on the Cartesian coordinate plane. So the first number must indicate the location of the point horizontally on the plane, and then the second number must indicate the location of the point vertically on the plane. So the answer is in coordinate -2, 2. So -2, 2. Point A. -2 and 2. What is the midpoint of the line if you connect point B and point B? So if you connect point B and point A, what is the midpoint? Step 1. Identify the coordinates of B and D. Why do we have to identify the coordinates of B and T? It's because we're going to use them on the midpoint formula later on. So the coordinates of point B is at -2 and 2, while point D is at +4, -2. Next step, assign x sub 1, x sub 2, y sub 1, y sub 2 from the coordinates of B and D. So if point B is your first point and point D is your second point, then this would be your x sub 1. And then this would be your x sub 2. This would be your x sub 2. This would be your y sub 1. And then this would be your y sub 2. Step 3. Apply the midpoint formula. So the midpoint formula is m for the midpoint. Then we have parenthesis indicating that our answer is a parenthesis and a comma indicating that our answer must be an ordered pair or a pair of coordinates. Okay, so let's substitute. Now, x sub 1 is -2. X sub 2 is +4. And then the sum of them, the sum of -2 and 4, we must divide it later by 2. Then comma, -2 plus -2, y sub 1 plus y sub 2. So -2 plus -2. And then we divide it by true later on. -2 plus 4 is 2. -2 plus -2 is -4. Then divide 2 by 2, we have 1. Divide -4 by 2, we have -2. So the answer for this is 1, -2. So remember to always include it with a pair of parentheses, signifying that we have an ordered pair or we have coordinates as our answer. So if we locate this on the Cartesian coordinate plane, 1 and 2 is in the middle of B and D. 1 and -2. Next situation. Situation 2. Dylan is a rescuer in Cebu after the recent earthquake. He is using a map to locate some places that he needs to go. So this map, we have here icons now, but they're on the Cartesian coordinate plane. So we have here the house, police station, train station, school, market, zoo, park, hospital, and a library. So here are the questions. What are the following infrastructures found in quadrant 2? So quadrant 2 is right there. Huh? It lies on the negative value vertically and on the positive values, the negative values horizontally and on the positive values vertically. So which infrastructures? Of course, the zoo and the park. Now, how about the market? Is it not found in quadrant 2? No, the market is not in any quadrant because if you identify the coordinates of the market, the x coordinate is -3, but its y coordinate is 0. So it's not in any quadrant, but it lies exactly on the x-axis. How about the police station? Is it not in quadrant 2 also? Just like the market, it's not found in any quadrant because it lies on the y-axis. If you can see, the x-coordinate of the police station is 0, it's at 0, and then the y-coordinate is at 3. So the x-coordinate is 0, so that's why it doesn't belong to any quadrants. So our answer should be the zoo and the park. The infrastructures are the zoo and the park found in quadrant 2. Question 2. What coordinate will guide Dylan if he wants to go to the hospital? So the hospital is right here. What coordinates will guide Dylan if he wants to go to the hospital? So we need to identify the coordinates of the hospital. So horizontally, it lies on positive 5. Then vertically, it's on negative 4. I mean positive 4. So positive 5 and positive 4. So remember, when naming coordinates, start from the x value, then the y value. So the x value is the horizontal value. The y value is the vertical value. So the coordinates is 5, 4. What is the distance from the train station to the hospital as shown in the map? So train station and then the hospital. So we have here step 1, identify the coordinates of the train station and the hospital. Why do we need to identify the coordinates of train station and the hospital? Because we're going to use them for the distance formula later on. So the train station is at 5, negative 4. 5, negative 4. While the hospital is at 5 and positive 4. So 5, 4. Hospital, 5, 4. Step. Assign x sub 1, x sub 2, y sub 1, and y sub 2 from the coordinates of the train station and the hospital. So if the train station is your first point, so this would be your x sub 1, and this would be your y sub 1, the first point, sub 1. And then hospital should be your second point. So this would be your x sub 2, and then this would be your y sub 2. Next step would be to apply the distance formula. So the distance formula is the square root of the sum of the quantity square of x sub 2 minus x sub 1 and the quantity square of y sub 2 minus y sub 1. Now we're going to substitute. So just copy everything and then change the variables to the specific values. So x sub 2 is 5. And then x sub 1 is also 5. So that is 5 minus 5 raised to the power of 2 plus y sub 2 is 4. And y sub 1 is negative 4. So that is 4 minus negative 4. Then the answer raised to the power of 2. 5 minus 5 is 0. 4 minus negative 4 is 8. because 4 minus negative 4 is the same as 4 plus 4, because we change the minus sign to plus sign, and then we change the sign of we change the subtrahend to eighths opposite, so positive 4. So 4 plus 4 is 8. Now 0 squared is 0, and then 8 squared is 64. Add 0 and 64, we have 64. Square root of 64 is 8, because 8 times 8 is 64. So the distance from the train station to the hospital, as shown in the map, is 8 units. 8 units. Next, situation 3. Rain and her friends went to Disneyland to spend their weekend. The graph at the left side shows the map of some of the attractions inside. We have here the scaling. 1 unit is equivalent to 10-meter distance. So if you move from a specific point, 1 unit, to any direction, the distance you move is already 10 meters. So 1 unit is equivalent to 10 meters. So we need to multiply the unit by 10 to convert it to meters later on. So what we have here, we have x and y coordinates, but as you can see, it is just the quadrant 2. This attractions lies on quadrant 1, quadrant 1, because we have here the x values that are positives and then the y values that are positives. A positive, positive, quadrant 1. Now, what are the attractions? We have World of Frozen. We have Toy Soldier Parachute Drop, Cinderella Carousel, and then Tarzan's Treehouse. We have also Jungle River Cruise. And then the entrance. Now the question, what is the location of the entrance in Disneyland? So the location. So it signifies that we need to identify the coordinates or the ordered pair describing the location of the entrance. So the entrance is at the origin 0. Horizontally, it's at 0. Vertically, it's also at 0. So 0, 0 is our answer. Don't forget to write the parenthesis and the comma, signifying that our answer is a point or a coordinates of a point. Another question. If Rain decides to go to the Jungle River Cruise, how far will she walk from the entrance towards its location? So if Rain is right here at the entrance and then she decides to go to the Jungle River Cruise, how far will she walk from here to here? So how far? It means that we need to use the distance formula once again. So first step would be to remember that the distance formula is only effective if the 2 points are given. So the 2 points are given here, but we don't have the coordinates, so we need to identify their coordinates first. So identify the coordinates of the entrance and the Jungle River Cruise. The entrance is at 0, 0. How about the Jungle River Cruise? It's at 8 and 0. So 8, 0. Step 2, Assign x sub 1, x sub 2, y sub 1, y sub 2 from the coordinates of the entrance and the jungle river cruise. So if the entrance is your first point and the jungle river cruise is your second point, so this must be your x sub 1. And then your y sub 1 is at the entrance also. Your x sub 2 and y sub 2 is at the jungle river cruise. So x sub 2, y sub 2. Step 3 is to apply a distance formula. So distance formula. And then substitute. Yeah? X sub 2 is 8. X sub 1 is 0. So that is 8 minus 0. Then y sub 2 is 0. Y sub 1 is 0. So that is 0 minus 0 it here. Now 8 minus 0 is 8. 0 minus 0 is 0. Raise 8 to the power of 2, that is 64. Raise 0 to the power of 2, that is 0. 64 plus 0 equals 64. Square root of 64 is, that's right, 8. So 8 units. But remember that we have a scaling, so we need to use the scaling. We need to find the distance in meters. The scaling is 1 unit is equivalent to 10-meter distance. So we need to multiply if units by 10 to get the distance in meters. So 8 times 10 is 80. So the distance from the entrance towards the Jungle River cruise is 80 meters. Another question. If Rain is in the world of Frozen and her friends are enjoying the toy soldier parachute drop, how far are they from each other? So Rain is at the world of Frozen, her friends is at the toy soldier parachute drop. So the question is, how far is Rain and her friends from each other? So we need to measure the distance. We need to find the distance from the world of Frozen to the toy soldier parachute drop. So identify the coordinates of the world of Frozen and the toy soldier parachute drop. The world of Frozen is at 2 horizontally and 10 vertically. So 2, 10. Then the toy soldier parachute drop is at 8 horizontally and 10 vertically. So 8, 10. Next step. Assign x sub 1, x sub 2, y sub 1, y sub 2 from the coordinates of the entrance and the jungle river cruise. Coordinates of the... No, this is wrong. No? So it must be assigned from the coordinates of the world of Frozen and the toy parachute drop. Toy soldier parachute drop. So excuse the wrong text. Now we have, if the world of Frozen is your first point, then x sub 1 and x sub 1 and y sub 1 must be at the world of Frozen. And then y sub 2 and x sub 2 and y sub 2 should be and the coordinates of the toy soldier parachute drop. Then step 3 would be to apply the distance formula. So we have here the distance formula. So what we need to do is to substitute the variables with a Specific values. X sub 2 is 8. X sub 1 is 2, so that is 8 minus 2. Y sub 2 is 10. Y sub 1 is 10. So that is 10 minus 10. 8 minus 2 is 6. 10 minus 10 is 0. 6 raised to the power of 2 is 36. 0 raised to the power of 2 is 0. 36 plus 0 is 36. The square root of 36 is 6 units. Then remember that we have a scaling, wherein 1 unit is equivalent to 10 meters. So if we have 6 units as the distance, we need to multiply it by 10 to get a measurement in meters. 6 times 10 is 60. So the distance of Rain from her friends is 60 meters.